CNL Sports Central will cover a college football game preview and prediction on the big matchup coming up here in the Big 12 in Week 13 of this 2021 college football season. And you'll be over the Oklahoma Sooners and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Huge matchup for both these teams as we head into Week 13. Any college football playoff chances are on the line for both these teams in this matchup, and it's a rivalry game. So lots at stake here. Going to be a huge one coming up here in Week 13. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Oklahoma beat Iowa State 28-21 in their last game. Another close game for the Sooners. They've played a lot of close games this season, and good thing is for Oklahoma is they've been on the winning side of a lot of those close games, except for that Baylor game, of course. They did lose to Baylor a couple of weeks ago, and that gives them a little bit of trouble heading into this matchup here. Of course, for Oklahoma State, they've already clinched a spot in the Big 12 title game, considering they've beaten Baylor. And if they do beat Oklahoma here, that solidifies that spot for Oklahoma here. I mean, the Sooners, if they lose this game and Baylor wins their Week 13 matchup, that actually takes the Sooners out of the Big 12 title game because the Baylor Bears have actually got the tiebreaker over Oklahoma. So a lot's at stake here for both these teams. I mean, I could see both these teams still make a run at the college football playoff. I mean, for Oklahoma, if you beat Oklahoma State twice, which, I mean, if you win this matchup against Oklahoma State, you're in the Big 12 title game against this team again. If you win that game twice, I mean, Oklahoma definitely has got a good argument for making the college football playoff. But for the Cowboys especially, Oklahoma State is a major sleeper, I think, for the college football playoff right now. No one's talking about them. I mean, you hear a lot about Cincinnati and Alabama and Ohio State, but, I mean, Oklahoma State is in the background of this conversation. I mean, if this team wins their next couple of games here, Oklahoma State is very much in the picture and has a very strong argument to be in the top four. So, yeah, lots at stake here. Both teams are 10-1. Oklahoma State beat Texas Tech 23-0 in their last game. That is a good Texas Tech team, by the way. I mean, they're definitely a top half team in the Big 12, if you ask me. They're going to a bowl game. They're bowl eligible. Texas Tech is not a terrible team this season, and Oklahoma State made that game look easy. Game will be on Saturday, November 27th in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So Cowboys are the home team here, and it's a night game. 6:30 p.m. Central Time is the kickoff time here. Spread currently has Oklahoma State by 3.5. Over-under is 51.5. And your FPI is going Oklahoma State 54.4%. So Cowboys are favored. Not too surprising seeing that. I mean, Oklahoma State is one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. If you look at their recent 4 or 5 games, I mean, they've been stellar to say the least. Series history, though, Oklahoma leads at 90-18. So Sooners obviously have had a much more successful history in this matchup, and Oklahoma's won 6 straight. Last time Oklahoma State won this game was 2014. So that is something to note here. I mean, if you look at the trend, I mean, it's tough to break a trend that has happened like that for Oklahoma. They've won 6 in a row. That's going to be a tough streak to end if you're Oklahoma State here, but this is the year to do it. I mean, for the Cowboys, this is a very talented football team, and this is as good of a shot as they're going to get for the college football playoff. And it's been that way for the past few years. I mean, Oklahoma State, this is as close as they've ever been to the college football playoff. So, yeah, it's a huge opportunity here for the Cowboys. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. Oklahoma's got 38 points per game, 24 points allowed. So you got a very high-powered offense with Oklahoma. Offensively, that's kind of what's carrying this Sooner football team. Defensively, they're okay, but offensively especially. I mean, they've had a few issues, especially the quarterback position between Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler, but both quarterbacks are insanely talented, which is what's tough. But yeah, you got 266 pass yards a game, 175 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, you got 262 passing, 122 for rushing. As for the Cowboys, 31 points per game. Defensively, one of the best in the nation, 14 points allowed, which in the Big 12, by the way, a conference that usually doesn't have very good defenses, Oklahoma State has been outstanding this season, allowing 14 points per game. 218 pass yards a game, 195 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 178 passing, 82 for rushing. Both those stat lines are outstanding. I mean, if you can keep that passing yards allowed number below 200 and that rushing yards allowed below 100, you're usually in a very good spot, and Oklahoma State is significantly below both. It's a very good defense, and this defense against Oklahoma's offense is going to be fun to watch. Recent matchups, Oklahoma beat Iowa State 28-21. Obviously had that tough loss at Baylor 14-27, and Baylor is very much still in the picture for the not for the college football playoff, but the Big 12 title game. I mean, Baylor is going to be huge Oklahoma State fans in this game because if Oklahoma wins, they're in the title game. But on the flip side, for Oklahoma State, I mean, it's an interesting situation here for both these teams. Oklahoma, of course, beat Texas Tech as well, 52-21. Beat Kansas 35-23. Beat TCU 52-31. As for the Cowboys, 23-0 win over Texas Tech, beat TCU 63-17, beat West Virginia 24-3, and beat Kansas 55-3. Ever since that loss against Iowa State, this team has been on fire. They've only allowed an average of, they allowed 17 to TCU, but then again, Oklahoma State scored 63. But otherwise, they've kept their opponents to 3 or below points. So yeah, Oklahoma State, they're playing excellent right now. Oklahoma State got hot at the right time. We're headed towards the postseason, and Oklahoma State is playing at their best level, at their highest level so far in this 2021 season. Some key points here, both teams are 10-1. Oklahoma's got a few uncertainties since the loss to Baylor. Oklahoma, there have been uncertainties about this football team all season because of the amount of close wins that they've had. And personally, I've actually been pro-Oklahoma in comparison to a lot of analysts. I think Oklahoma's a very talented football team that should be respected a bit more than they are. But then again, for Oklahoma here, the quarterback situation, it's been kind of a messy past few weeks. And, they've gotten a couple of decent wins, but, close games all over the place. And, it's been an interesting season for Oklahoma, to say the least. A team that's got talent capable of a college football playoff appearance. I would say that by far. They've got some insane talent on this football team. In the offseason, before this 2021 season, I thought Oklahoma would be a national title contender. And many people, it wasn't just me, a lot of people were expecting that as well. With Spencer Rattler, he was looking to be a top-tier quarterback in the nation, which Caleb Williams coming in has kind of had an effect on that. But obviously, it's been a complicated quarterback situation, and offensively, this team is outstanding. But we'll see how Oklahoma does here. This is a huge matchup for them, and the highest stage that they've had to play on this entire season. Oklahoma State, one of the hottest teams in the nation. Cowboys went out. This team should be in the college football playoff, personally. I would pick a one-loss Oklahoma State team over a two-loss Alabama team. If the Crimson Tide were to lose the SEC championship game and Oklahoma State were to win out, night and day, I'd put Oklahoma State in the college football playoff. And you also got Cincinnati in there, which is a contender. But I'd probably pick Oklahoma State with a one loss over a Cincinnati team that's undefeated. This team is playing excellent right now. Their defense can allow them to compete with pretty much anyone. So yeah, Oklahoma State's a very interesting football team that no one's really talking about, but this football team is for real, and they are very much a contender right now. They've also got the home field advantage here in a night game. That's going to be a huge advantage, I think, for Oklahoma State. Senior day, it's going to be huge. But anyway, that being said, let's get to the prediction here for Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I usually do not go against Oklahoma, but I am today. 31-27, I'm going with the Cowboys being the home team. Huge stakes for both teams, but Oklahoma State, I think, comes out. And they've just played better this entire season. They've gotten more convincing wins. Oklahoma's played a lot of close games. Saying Cowboys 55%, over-unders 51.5. I'm taking the over just barely. Well, actually by quite a bit, 6 or 7 points. So I'm pretty confident this game goes over. I would say that. Oklahoma State, I do expect them to cover as well. Although that's kind of a tough spread to bet on. I probably wouldn't bet on that spread. It's 3.5 points toward Oklahoma State. So technically I do have the Cowboys to cover, but I could see it going either way if you're looking at the spread. But yeah, Oklahoma State, Cowboys are just the better football team right now. They're playing excellent. They are on fire, one of the hottest teams in the nation. They're a college football playoff contender. It's just a matter of whether or not this team can handle the pressure of being a college football playoff contender, because this team is very close to being in the top 4. If they went out, they have got a very strong argument. So anyway, with that being said, let me know your thoughts and comments below on this game, and I appreciate you guys all watching. As always, stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.